Each morning unfolds like a fresh chapter, waiting to be written with the strokes of your choices, emotions, and thoughts. Life's relentless pace often pulls us into a storm of worries, stress, and endless to-dos. Yet, across millennia, Stoic philosophy has whispered a simple truth. We hold power over our own minds, regardless of the chaos that surrounds us. This power isn't about controlling the world, it's about mastering ourselves. With a handful of intentional affirmations, you can reset your mind every morning, fortifying it against life's turbulence and seizing the day with clarity and strength. These aren't just words, they're keys to unlock a deeper, more purposeful life. Waking up with gratitude sets the tone for everything that follows. Saying, "I am grateful for this new day," transforms your perspective. It's not a grand declaration, it's a gentle shift. In a world where it's easy to wake up burdened by the weight of expectations or the monotony of routine, gratitude is a reminder of the simplest yet most profound truth. You've been gifted another day. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once mused that waking up alive is a privilege. To breathe, to love, to think. These are not guarantees, but treasures. Think about it. Even in the rush of life's demands, the opportunity to rise, to see, and to feel remains a miracle. Gratitude dissolves the fog of stress and grounds us in the present moment. It pulls us out of the trap of worrying about what might go wrong and plants us firmly in the beauty of what is already right. When gratitude becomes a habit, it shifts how you see challenges, reframing them not as burdens but as opportunities to grow and adapt. Life is a series of changes, a constant state of impermanence. Nothing stays the same, and Stoic philosophy urges us to embrace this, not fear it. When you say to yourself, "I embrace impermanence," you're not resigning to life's unpredictability. You're empowering yourself to dance with it. Everything from relationships to careers evolves. It's not a flaw in the system, it's the essence of being alive. Marcus Aurelius noted that everything we see is in flux, and Epictetus taught that our peace comes not from controlling the uncontrollable, but from mastering our responses to it. Consider the freedom in accepting that life changes. The successes that fade and the losses that reshape us, they're all part of the same flow. When we cling tightly to what was or fear what's ahead, we create our own suffering. But when we let go, when we trust that change carries lessons, we find strength in the very currents we once resisted. It's not about dismissing the pain of loss or the joy of gain. It's about appreciating each moment for what it is, knowing it will transform into something new. In this ever-changing landscape, cultivating kindness, both for ourselves and others, is vital. "I cultivate compassion for myself and others" isn't just an affirmation, it's a promise. It's a vow to treat ourselves and those around us with patience, understanding, and grace. Life is hard enough without the added weight of self-criticism or judgment of others. Marcus Aurelius reminded us to pause before faulting someone, asking, "What fault of mine most resembles the one I'm about to criticize?" It's a humbling practice, one that draws a bridge between our imperfections and theirs. Kindness to ourselves is not indulgence, it's recognizing that we, too, are human. The harsh inner critic serves no one. Learning to speak to yourself as you would a friend, with encouragement instead of condemnation, allows for growth rather than guilt. And when we extend that same kindness outward, seeing others not through the lens of their flaws, but through the shared struggles of being human, we build connections that enrich both their lives and ours. Walking the path of wisdom is another cornerstone of Stoic practice. Affirming, "I walk the path of wisdom," is an acknowledgement that wisdom isn't an end state, but a journey, a daily commitment to learning, growing, and understanding life's truths. Epictetus once said that true wisdom begins with recognizing how much we don't know. This humility fuels curiosity and drives us to seek clarity in a world full of distractions. Wisdom isn't just about intellect, it's about discernment. It's about knowing which battles to fight, which desires to pursue, and which moments to let go. A wise person sees the bigger picture, balancing the immediate with the long term. Wisdom is patience in the face of uncertainty, courage in the face of fear, and clarity in the midst of chaos. It's the lens through which we find meaning in life's messiness. Finally, the affirmation, "I am at peace with myself," encapsulates the Stoic ideal of inner tranquility. Peace is not the absence of struggle, it's the ability to remain calm amidst it. It's realizing that our power lies not in controlling external events, but in mastering our reactions to them. Seneca reminded us that bravery is freedom, and freedom is found in letting go of what we cannot control. Think of the pressures we face: expectations, failures, criticism. These are inevitable, but they don't have to define us. Peace comes from knowing that our worth isn't tied to external validation, but to the steadiness of our inner world. When we embrace this mindset, we find that even in life's storms, our core remains unshaken. These affirmations, gratitude, embracing impermanence, cultivating kindness, seeking wisdom, and finding peace, are not mere words. They are practices, pathways to a life that is not just lived, but deeply felt. Each morning, as you step into the world, let these truths anchor you. Let them remind you that no matter what the day holds, you have within you the strength, the clarity, and the grace to face it fully. Life is not about waiting for calm seas, but learning to navigate the waves with purpose and poise. Life is a constant dance between the expected and the unforeseen, and every morning offers us a chance to step onto the stage with intention. When we ground ourselves in affirmations rooted in wisdom, we become better equipped to navigate the unpredictable flow of the day. Among the most powerful of these is the idea of embracing impermanence. Life, as the Stoics remind us, is not static. Everything we know, relationships, achievements, even the very seasons around us, is in a perpetual state of change. By welcoming this truth rather than resisting it, we unlock a profound sense of peace. When you wake and tell yourself, "I embrace impermanence," it's not a resignation. It's an acknowledgement of life's natural rhythm. It's a decision to flow with change rather than fight against it. Marcus Aurelius captured this beautifully when he reflected on how everything we see is fleeting, a reminder that the only constant in life is change itself. Once we accept this, we begin to see that impermanence isn't a threat, it's an opportunity. Imagine someone who's just lost a job. The immediate reaction might be fear or despair, a sense that their foundation has crumbled. But if they look through the lens of impermanence, they might see this loss as the closing of one chapter and the opening of another. Perhaps this moment, as painful as it feels, is the catalyst for a career that aligns more deeply with their passions. By embracing change, they free themselves from the shackles of fear and open themselves to possibilities they might never have considered. This approach doesn't erase the pain of loss or the discomfort of uncertainty, it reframes it. It allows us to stand in the face of change with courage, knowing that our ability to adapt is far greater than we often realize. Stoicism doesn't deny the difficulties of life. It simply teaches us to view them as teachers rather than adversaries. With each shift, each unexpected turn, we grow stronger and more resilient. In the same way, cultivating kindness, both toward ourselves and others, is an act of profound strength. Life's challenges can harden us if we let them, but the Stoics encourage us to choose compassion instead. By affirming, "I cultivate compassion for myself and others," we remind ourselves that kindness is not just a gift we give, but a practice that enriches our own lives. It is a choice to see ourselves and those around us not through the lens of perfection, but through the shared humanity that binds us. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, urged us to pause before passing judgment on others. He asked us to consider whether the faults we see in others might reflect something within ourselves. This practice of self-reflection fosters empathy, bridging the gap between our imperfections and theirs. It reminds us that everyone is fighting a battle we cannot see, and that our kindness can be a balm for those struggles. Kindness toward oneself is just as vital. In a world that often demands perfection, it's easy to become our harshest critics. We berate ourselves for failures, for mistakes, for not living up to impossible standards. But what if we approached ourselves with the same compassion we offer a friend? What if, instead of criticism, we extended understanding? This isn't about excusing poor choices. It's about creating the space to learn and grow from them. Consider an athlete who falls short of a goal. They could beat themselves up, replaying every misstep in their mind. Or they could acknowledge their effort, recognize the lessons in their failure, and recommit to their training with renewed focus. The latter approach doesn't just foster resilience, it builds a mindset that thrives on growth rather than perfection. Kindness toward oneself creates the foundation for this growth, transforming setbacks into stepping stones. Extending this kindness to others creates a ripple effect. When we approach others with patience and understanding, we cultivate trust and connection. We create spaces where people feel safe to be themselves, where they can find comfort in our presence. Kindness is not weakness, it is strength in its most profound form. It requires courage to forgive, patience to understand, and grace to accept others as they are. As we navigate life's uncertainties, wisdom becomes our compass. Affirming, "I walk the path of wisdom," is not a declaration of arrival, but a commitment to the journey. Wisdom, as the Stoics teach us, is not a destination. It is a practice, a continuous effort to see the world with clarity and to act with intention. Epictetus reminded us that true wisdom begins with humility, the recognition that we do not know everything and that there is always room to grow. Walking the path of wisdom means seeking understanding rather than immediate answers. It's about listening more than speaking, observing more than reacting. Wisdom is not about being right, it's about being thoughtful. It's the ability to step back from a situation, to consider the bigger picture, and to make choices that align with our values rather than our impulses. Imagine a leader faced with a difficult decision. They could act quickly to appease others or to achieve a short-term win. Or they could take the time to weigh the consequences, to consider not just the immediate impact, but the long-term effects of their actions. The latter path requires patience and discipline, but it reflects true wisdom. It prioritizes what is meaningful over what is easy. Wisdom also means embracing failure as a teacher. Every mistake, every misstep carries a lesson if we're willing to learn. When we view life through the lens of wisdom, we see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. We recognize that the journey itself is the reward, and that each step forward, no matter how small, brings us closer to the life we seek. In these daily affirmations, embracing impermanence, cultivating kindness, and walking the path of wisdom, we find the tools to face life with courage and clarity. They are reminders of our strength, our resilience, and our capacity for growth. Each morning, as we repeat these truths, we lay the foundation for a day rooted in purpose and peace. Life's challenges will come, as they always do, but with these practices, we stand ready, not to conquer the world, but to master ourselves. Each morning, as the sun rises and the world stirs awake, we are presented with an opportunity to recalibrate our minds and hearts. Among the affirmations that guide us, few are as transformative as the commitment to kindness. "I cultivate compassion for myself and others" is not just a gentle reminder, it is a powerful declaration of intent. It speaks to the way we approach life, not with a hardened heart, but with an open one, ready to embrace the imperfections of ourselves and those around us. Kindness begins within. It's astonishing how often we extend patience and understanding to others while denying the same to ourselves. The inner critic, that relentless voice of judgment, can be far harsher than any external opinion. But Stoic philosophy teaches us that self-compassion is not indulgence, it's wisdom. Recognizing our humanity, our capacity for mistakes, growth and renewal is essential to living a balanced life. Marcus Aurelius urged us to consider our own flaws before condemning others, a practice that naturally fosters empathy not only outwardly but inwardly as well. Imagine someone facing a setback, perhaps a failed business venture. The immediate instinct might be to spiral into self-blame, replaying every decision with regret. Yet, a moment of kindness toward oneself could shift the narrative. Instead of fixating on the failure, they could acknowledge their effort, reflect on the lessons learned, and use that insight to move forward. This shift doesn't erase the pain, but it transforms it into a stepping stone for growth. Kindness toward oneself also allows us to navigate life with greater resilience. When we stop viewing mistakes as catastrophes and start seeing them as opportunities, we become less afraid to take risks, to explore, and to grow. It's a mindset that not only liberates us, but also enables us to offer genuine kindness to others, free of judgment or resentment. Compassion for others is equally transformative. Stoic philosophy reminds us that every person we encounter is fighting battles we cannot see. Seneca's words resonate here. Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. When we approach others with understanding instead of judgment, we create a ripple effect of goodwill. A kind word, a small gesture of patience, or even a silent moment of empathy can make an immeasurable difference in someone's life. Think about how kindness can diffuse tension in even the most challenging relationships. A parent frustrated by a child's choices might instinctively react with criticism, but what if they paused to listen instead? What if they tried to understand the motivations behind those choices? That act of listening, of truly seeking to understand, can transform conflict into connection. It creates a space where both parties feel seen and valued. Compassion doesn't mean we condone harmful actions or overlook boundaries. Rather, it means we respond with thoughtfulness instead of impulse. It's a practice of seeing the humanity in others, even when their actions challenge us. This perspective not only strengthens our relationships, but also brings a sense of peace and purpose to our interactions. As we cultivate kindness, we naturally step onto another powerful path, the path of wisdom. "I walk the path of wisdom" is an affirmation that reminds us life is not about reaching an endpoint, but about engaging in a continuous journey of learning, reflection, and growth. Wisdom, in the Stoic sense, is not just knowledge, but the ability to apply it with clarity and purpose. Epictetus emphasized the importance of humility in this pursuit, reminding us that wisdom begins when we acknowledge how much we don't know. This mindset opens the door to curiosity and growth. It's not about having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions, seeking understanding, and approaching each situation with a sense of openness. Walking the path of wisdom also means recognizing the distinction between what we can control and what we cannot. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This simple truth forms the foundation of Stoic thought. Wisdom is about focusing our energy on what truly matters, rather than wasting it on things beyond our influence. Consider a scenario where someone faces a sudden challenge, like a financial setback. They could expend their energy lamenting the circumstances, wishing things were different, or blaming others. But a wiser approach would be to accept the situation as it is and focus on actionable steps to move forward. This doesn't mean ignoring the difficulty. It means addressing it with clarity and resolve, guided by a mindset that values solutions over complaints. Wisdom also involves patience, particularly in a world that often demands immediate gratification. It's the ability to take a step back, to see the bigger picture, and to prioritize long-term growth over short-term gains. Think of a skilled craftsman, meticulously working on a piece of art. They know that rushing the process will compromise the result. Instead, they approach their work with care and precision, understanding that true mastery takes time. This patience is a reflection of wisdom in action, a willingness to honor the process rather than fixating solely on the outcome. Wisdom, like kindness, extends to how we interact with others. A wise person knows that conflict often arises not from malicious intent, but from misunderstanding. By seeking to understand rather than to win, they foster harmony and build trust. Wisdom is not about asserting dominance, but about creating connection, even in the face of disagreement. These principles, kindness, wisdom, and the acceptance of impermanence, are not separate threads, but part of the same tapestry. Together, they guide us toward a life of depth and purpose. Each morning, as we affirm these values, we strengthen our capacity to navigate life's complexities with grace and resilience. They remind us that while we cannot control the world, we can shape our inner response to it. Life's challenges are inevitable, but with kindness in our hearts, wisdom in our minds, and acceptance of change in our spirits, we stand not as victims of circumstance, but as architects of our own experience. Each step on this path, no matter how small, brings us closer to the person we aspire to be. It's a journey worth taking, one that begins anew with every sunrise. Every day is a chapter in the story of our lives, filled with opportunities to grow, learn, and discover the depths of who we are. Among the most vital affirmations we can carry with us is the commitment to inner peace. To say, "I am at peace with myself," is not merely to declare a state of being, but to embrace a way of living. It is a reminder that peace is not something we find in the world around us. It is something we cultivate within. Peace begins with understanding what we can and cannot control. Life often feels chaotic because we cling to the illusion that we can shape every outcome, bend every event to our will. Stoic philosophy teaches us otherwise. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the cornerstone of inner peace, the realization that while we cannot dictate what happens, we can always choose how we respond. Imagine someone facing the end of a relationship. The loss feels overwhelming, the sense of rejection and grief all-consuming. But instead of being swept away by these emotions, they take a moment to reflect. They acknowledge the pain, but also recognize that they cannot change the past. What they can do is choose to grow from the experience, to carry the love and lessons forward without allowing the loss to define them. This is the essence of peace, not avoidance, but acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It's an active practice of letting go. Letting go of the need for control, the weight of regret, and the fear of uncertainty. When we release these burdens, we create space for clarity and resilience. Inner peace is not about erasing conflict, but about standing steady in its midst. rooted in the knowledge that our value and stability come from within, not from the shifting sands of the external world. To cultivate this peace, we must also embrace failure as part of the human experience. Failure is often painted as the enemy of success, but Stoic thought reframes it as a necessary teacher. Seneca once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, it is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Failure is not an end, but a beginning, a chance to learn, adapt, and grow stronger. It's a reminder that perfection is not the goal. Progress is. Consider an entrepreneur whose first venture fails spectacularly. They could let the weight of that failure crush their spirit, or they could reflect on what went wrong, refine their approach, and try again. The latter path requires courage, but it is also the path to growth. Inner peace does not come from avoiding failure. It comes from embracing it, learning from it, and using it as a stepping stone toward greater understanding. This peace also extends to how we view others. In a world often marked by division and misunderstanding, choosing compassion over conflict is an act of great strength. Stoic philosophy teaches us that other people's actions are beyond our control, but our responses to them are entirely within our power. When we choose to see others not as adversaries but as fellow travelers on life's journey, we create connections that transcend differences. Imagine being in a heated disagreement with a colleague. The instinct might be to defend your position, to argue until you feel you've won. But what if instead you paused and sought to understand their perspective? What if you chose to listen, to empathize, even if you didn't agree? This approach doesn't mean sacrificing your values, it means prioritizing harmony over ego. By fostering understanding, you not only ease the tension, but also find a sense of peace that can't be achieved through conflict. Peace with oneself also involves letting go of the fear of judgment. So much of our anxiety stems from worrying about how others perceive us, from striving to meet expectations that may not align with our true selves. Stoic philosophy encourages us to focus on living according to our principles rather than seeking approval. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." True peace comes from authenticity, from aligning our actions with our values and letting go of the need for validation. When we live authentically, we free ourselves from the chains of comparison and competition. We become grounded in who we are, confident in our worth regardless of external opinion. This confidence doesn't breed arrogance but a quiet strength, a sense of contentment that radiates outward. To live in peace is not to live without challenges, but to face those challenges with grace. It's about finding stillness in the storm, calm amidst the chaos. It's about realizing that the world will never be entirely within our control, but our minds always can be. Peace is a practice, a daily commitment to ourselves and the life we want to live. Each morning as we rise, we have the opportunity to choose this peace. To affirm, "I am at peace with myself," is to remind ourselves of the strength that lies within. It is to embrace the impermanence of life, the inevitability of failure, and the complexity of relationships with courage and clarity. It is to walk through the world not unshaken by its turbulence, but unbroken by it. These affirmations, gratitude, impermanence, kindness, wisdom, and peace, are not just words, they are guiding principles. They are tools to help us navigate life's uncertainties with intention and resilience. By practicing them each day, we cultivate a mindset that not only allows us to endure, but also to thrive. Life will always bring challenges, but with these principles, we can meet them with strength and clarity. We can find joy in the simple moments, wisdom in the difficult ones, and peace in the spaces in between. The journey toward a meaningful life begins not with grand gestures, but with small, intentional steps. Steps that start each morning with a quiet affirmation and a deep breath.